The French community donates 70,000 euros to the education sector. Dominica looks to expand the yachting industry, and Portsmouth hosts its annual Market Day with a Difference 2015. Thanks for joining us on another edition of National Focus. I'm Nisha Charles.
And I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after the break.
Thanks for staying with us. The education sector is continuing to receive much needed assistance following Tropical Storm Erica. The latest is a 70,000 euro donation by the Dominica Guadeloupe Solidarity Committee in collaboration with the Contact and Research Association for the Caribbean, CORECA, and the Dominican Consulate in Guadeloupe. The donation will go towards the reconstruction of the Dalis and Soufriere primary schools, which were extensively damaged during the storm. The Honorable Minister for Education, Peter Seja, says the donation will allow students to have a safer environment for learning.
Access to the Dalis primary school has been seriously compromised, and the roof requires repairs that, as of now, makes it impossible for class to resume at the school plant. In fact, the Dalis Primary School is now housed at the Dalis Youth Center. At the Soufriere Primary School, the heavy rains of Tropical Storm Erica caused silting of the classrooms and eroded the school's retaining wall. Also inflicted serious damage to the fencing. In fact, I've been advised that a new retaining wall will have to be looked at, and that will increase security and decrease the school's vulnerability in the event of inclement weather.
Project Coordinator Delia Debois says the focus is primarily on reconstruction.
It is for us to identify today the priority needs for this school and channel the solution necessary to respond to them. We raised 20,000 euros thanks to the actions we took and thanks to donors as well. We also received 50,000 euros from the collectivity of support. And this money will only be dedicated to reconstruction for these two schools.
President of CORECA, Julien Marion, is thankful for the solidarity between Dominica and Guadeloupe.
It was a very, very beautiful experience of that campaign of solidarity. Many people come and say, we want to do something for Dominica. And I saw at this occasion that Dominica and Guadeloupe, often we say, with sister, with brother. But in action, you see really with sisters and brothers.
Representative of the Consulate of Dominica in Guadeloupe, Sherdade Alexis, says there is still much work to be done to get Dominica and in particular its students to a state of normalcy.
After the need of food, the need of books, now we are in the need of buildings, of schools, of repairing. So I hope that in this we will also succeed. We already contacted many different associations. We already collect some money, but we still have more coming in. And I hope that it will double, triple, maybe 10 times more. Maybe. It will not be tomorrow. It takes a little time, but it will come.
$1 million has been expended from the $39 million allocated to Dominica under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. Component 3 of the project, which dealt with an emergency response, was triggered by the onset of Tropical Storm Erica, giving Dominica access to these funds. Evaluation, Monitoring and Communication Specialist with the DVRP, Nadette Langford, explains.
Once the Honorable Prime Minister declared certain areas disaster areas, for example, Petite Savane community, and appointed the international coordinator, relief coordinator, that triggered that component of the DVRP. So there was $1 million budgeted on the component 3, which has been expended. And basically this covered the cleanup works on the West Coast. So we had to procure items, but 46% of the budget went towards the procurement of items. Items such as drums and geotextile, and we also had pipes. We also had to purchase cement, aggregate, sand, to do temporary bypasses, and then safety equipment like cones for the traffic to direct traffic and traffic signs. And the balance of the funds went to payment for operations like the heavy equipment machinery and so forth. But that was only on the West Coast. So the US $1 million under this component was absorbed post-tropical storm Erika, and that's what really facilitated the clearing of the West Coast Road with the speed that it was done.
The intervention facilitated road access to approximately 20,000 persons along the West Coast.
The Ministry of Tourism is looking to further develop the yachting industry as a means of attracting more visitors to the island. The Honorable Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal, Senator Robert Tung, held a press conference on Friday to highlight why Dominica was looking to further develop the sector and its marketing strategy. Honorable Senator Tung says his ministry's focus is to use the French West Indies to gain visitors through yachting.
We all know that what they call the barefoot charters, which originate from Guadeloupe and Martinique, there are over 5,000 of these vessels that are available in those areas. So as part of our marketing strategy, we had planned to also increase our advocacy and our marketing in the neighboring islands, because they're so close to us. You can get a lot more persons coming to Dominica, and they're much closer, which is a lot more affordable. So once we pitch our marketing the right way to include the yachting sector, we should be able to bring a lot more people to Dominica within the funds that we have.
OECI's ambassador to Brussels, Her Excellency Dr. Len Ishmael, says yachting has the potential to contribute far greater to the social and economic development of the region than it currently does.
So about 80 years ago, we produced what is now known as the UN ECLAC report, which is the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. And these reports were pioneering because for the very first time we were able to show in a dynamic and real way the total numbers of yachts that were moving through the region, but more importantly, the sort of asset base that different countries had with respect of yachting. Numbers stood in mind, for example, the British Virgin Islands with fixed assets of about 500 million US dollars, contributions to GDP of 220 million US dollars annually, even then. And then at the lower end, St. Vincent and the Grenadines having an incredibly beautiful product in the Tobago Keys and the rest of the Grenadines, having far less in terms of funds generated by that sector into the national treasury from yachting.
Dr. Ishmael says Dominica is ripe for investment.
From the US Virgin Islands all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, we have a little less than 7,000 berths only, compared to Turkey, which in 2 or 3 marinas will have more than the 7,000 marinas. It says, therefore, something which, for me, is compelling. Simply put, that we are massively underinvested, and given all of the comparative advantage that we have, we are ripe for investment, much more investments in the region.
Her Excellency says Dominica is exactly what visitors want to experience in the Caribbean, and the yachting industry will capitalize on those markets.
Dominica has something which nobody else has. Dominica is Dominica. It is the nature island. It is the Creole hub for our part of the world. It has everything that people in Martinique and Guadeloupe want. 12 flights daily land in Martinique and Guadeloupe, bringing people out of Europe. This island is what the islands used to be. What you have here is exactly what people want to experience. And so we've got to find ways in Dominica of making sure that people, 1, can come, 2, that there are services and infrastructure, and 3, that we have services and infrastructure that allow people to be able to access the land from their boats and be able to spend and contribute to our development here in Dominica.
And before we go to the break, I'd just like for us to highlight some of the ways that the expansion of the yachting industry can greatly impact on Dominica's social and economic development. And Kerdisha, it's not the first time that government has sought to expand the yachting industry. We all know the benefits that having a marina would have, and they have already located an area in Portsmouth where it is prime for that sort of a thing. And even if it's not directly being funded by government, you know, it's always been a private sector initiative, but government is willing to assist, and they are already doing that because there's someone in Portsmouth who houses the yachts when they come, and government has provided some sort of security for them, so they're doing that.
And I think it's important also to note the impact in things such as agriculture, because, you know, when the persons from the yachts come to Dominica, they purchase produce, they shop for the vendors. You can also see the impact in the fishing industry. All that is part of pushing funds directly into Dominica's economy.
And it's not just that, you know, I mean, the people come on the yachts, and it's about being on land and experiencing the island. You know, Dominica, we have hiking, we have the craft, the vendors, and Dominica has always been one to talk about community tourism. That's right. I think that's a great avenue for the people from the yacht to experience Dominica, because that's what they ultimately want.
That's right. The whole cultural aspect is what really sets us apart from any other Caribbean island.
And like Dr. Ishmael said, you know, Dominica is a nature island, it's a Caribbean hub, and that's what the Europeans, the people with the yachts, want to see from Dominica.
That's right.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Introducing the Government of Dominica Internal Directory mobile app, available for download from the Google Play Store, One Mobile Market, and the Government of Dominica's website. Access to all ministries and sub-departments' phone, email and office addresses and websites. Simply select a ministry and the sub-department. You can dial directly from the app or save the numbers to your phone contacts. It's convenience at your fingertips.
Is my passport ready for pickup? Good. It really works.
Download the Government of Dominica Internal Directory mobile app today.
Welcome back. On Friday, the 23rd of October, His Excellency Giles Gerard Virgil presented his credentials to the President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles A. Savre, officially becoming Ambassador Designate of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to the Commonwealth of Dominica. During his remarks, His Excellency Charles Savre, President of Dominica, stated that he is assured that the close ties of the two countries will continue during His Excellency Virgil's stint as Ambassador.
I am confident that you will continue the good work of your predecessors in strengthening the bonds of friendship and cooperation which exists between our two countries. Dominica has had diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of the Netherlands for some 35 years out of our 37 years of independence, and the government and people of Dominica and I look forward to the development of even closer ties as we continue to search for a better life for our peoples.
Dominica has benefited from assistance which the government of the Netherlands extends to the various envelopes of EU cooperation, and post-tropical storm Erica, the Netherlands quickly responded to Dominica's call.
The government of the Netherlands responded promptly to our request for assistance and deployed its naval support vessel HNLMS Pelican, which arrived in Dominica on the 5th of September 2015 from Curacao, with a military ambulance as well as supplies of water, diesel, food, and medicines, and provided critical emergency assistance to the government and people of Dominica. High-speed FRISC motorboats were used to reach places that had been cut off by the devastation. In addition to the vessel's permanent crew, 40 Marines and a detachment of the Arubian militia were also in Dominica.
President Savre expressed his thanks to the government of the Netherlands and hopes that with the coming presidency of the EU, small island developing states such as Dominica will be given attention.
As the Kingdom of the Netherlands assumes the presidency of the European Union on the 1st of January 2016 for 6 months, your country is uniquely poised to draw the attention of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and the European Union to the special development needs of very small island developing states and the catastrophic impact of natural disasters whether caused by climate change or otherwise, on the entire development prospect of these vulnerable small island states. In that regard, vulnerability should be a determining factor in determining whether a small island state should be graduated to middle income status with its attendant implications for development assistance.
President Savre also looks forward to an improved relationship between the Eastern Caribbean and the Dutch islands.
Our people in the Eastern Caribbean have had very long-standing relationships with the Dutch islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And currently, there are several thousand Dominicans living and working in St. Martin. These close relationships can be further enhanced through the association with regional organizations, the OECS and CARICOM, and we look forward to free movement of people, goods, and services between our OECS and CARICOM countries and the European Union overseas countries and territories.
The ambassador himself, His Excellency Giles Gerard Bagil, is happy that the Netherlands has had a positive impact on Dominica post-Tropical Storm Erica.
I have had the honor to be several days on this beautiful island, and what I heard about is that the people are very grateful and that our Marines were able to touch their hearts, as well as all the other material that has to be moved away. And I know and I noticed that the work has not been done. There is still more work to come, and if we could be of any assistance, I would always be willing to look upon it. But at least we did our job, I think. And it's a good thing that we reach out to our Caribbean brothers and be amongst each other and help each other when it is needed.
He looks forward to developing a good relationship.
We have possibilities to work together. I really like to put emphasis and energy in the very good relationships we have with Dominica. And I may assure you, Your Excellency, that I always be there for you and the government of Dominica to look upon questions, to look upon things we could do together.
Josephine Florestine Lawrence, better known as Mama Tin, is the most recent to reach the milestone of 100 years. Mama Tin, a resident of the community of Grand Force, celebrated 100 years on October 23, 2015. A celebration was held in her honor on Sunday, October 25th, beginning with a church service at the Grand Force Baptist Church, followed by a ceremony in Grand Force. His Excellency Charles Savre and Mrs. Savre, the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, who was Acting Minister for Social Services, Justina Charles, and the Honorable Parliament Representative for the Grand Forks constituency, Ivor Stevenson, were among those who joined in the celebration. His Excellency Charles Savre congratulated the centenarian on her milestone.
Dear Mrs. Lawrence, on behalf of the government and the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and on behalf of Mrs. Savre and myself, I wish to extend to you my congratulations and good wishes on the occasion of the attainment of your 100th birthday on Friday, the 23rd of October, 2015. May the good Lord continue to bless you. Yours sincerely, Charles A. Savre, President. And I also have for you a package from the Office of the President, which I will deliver to you.
The Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, Justina Charles, is Acting Minister for Social Services.
Our seniors are supposed to be cherished, and we can see how much that we cherish. And I am certain it is not very heavy. It's not saying that it's only because that she's 100 years. Looking at her, you can see she's somebody that has been cherished as she aged and reached that milestone. And we need to cherish our seniors because we must recognize that they've made valid contribution to the development of this country. Whether we want to believe it or not, they've made contribution to our own development as individuals, as family, and as country. They've made us proud. And as you listen to her, as you listen to everything that was said about her, you can realize that she was one who gave in the community.
The minister added that the Yes We Care program envisioned by the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit was born out of the need to take care of the senior citizens who were neglected. Government also recently introduced a $200 stipend to all senior citizens over the age of 70. President of the Dominica Council on Aging, Zetma Toussaint, was elated that another centenarian was added to the elite group in Dominica. For Parliamentary Representative Ivor Stevenson, it's an honor to have the highest number of centenarians in his part of the country.
I am indeed honored to be part of a ceremony where we are celebrating 100 years. And for those of us who are here, will realize that living 100 years is not an easy task. It's not easy. And sometimes these first things that come to mind when we hear that some persons have achieved 100 years is that that person must have been eating well. And sometimes I think back and I say to myself, it is not just about eating well, but rather living well.
Several gifts were presented to Mama Teen from the President, Charles Savre, the Ministry of Social Services, her parliamentary representative, and other groups in the community. Mama Teen will receive $500 and a tank of propane monthly from the government of Dominica. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website, news.gov.dm.
Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on a past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News Desk, I'm Kerdisha St.
And I'm Nisha Charles. Thanks for watching, and do join us again next time on National Focus.